It's a tradition that's been followed for centuries. Today is Groundhog Day. The animals, also known as woodchucks, take the spotlight on February 2nd every year to predict if spring is to come early or if we have to brave the cold a little bit longer. This year, Canada's famous groundhogs were split. While two of them gave us good news, we're sorry to say that the majority saw 6 more weeks of winter. Manisa Danabalan joins us now live with more. So Manisa, are you ready for 6 more weeks of winter?
No, Kelly, I'm counting down the days till spring because I'm already done with winter.
Me too.
According to tradition, if a groundhog comes out of its hole and sees its own shadow and gets scared and runs back in, then that means there's 6 more weeks of winter. But if it comes out and there's no shadow, then that means spring is coming early.
It's Groundhog Day.
It's still just once a year, isn't it?
Unlike the movies, yes, it only comes once a year, and while festivities took place from coast to coast today, the results depend on where you are. Ontario's Wyerton Willie called for an early spring, and Alberta's Balzac Billy predicted the same. But Nova Scotia's famous groundhog Shubenacadie Sam, who's the first in North America to make a prediction thanks to the Atlantic time zone, apparently saw her shadow. Meanwhile, in the States, Punxsutawney Phil agreed with Sam for a 2nd straight year.
I see that everyone knows their part, and I am merely the sage. But above all else, I see a shadow on my stage. And so, no matter how you measure, it's 6 more weeks of winter weather.
But more cold weather wasn't the worst news for those in Quebec, who learned that their furry forecaster, Fred Lamarmont, died before he could make his prediction. The announcement came after most of the event, including a dance break with the large Fred mascot, had taken place without indication of the animal's death. The organizers said the 9-year-old groundhog likely passed away in the late fall or early December. So instead, a stuffed toy was given to a boy who determined there's 6 more weeks of winter.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
But when did the traditions begin? According to reports, it all started on this day in 1887 in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
It is based partly on the Christian holiday of Candlemas, which comes on February 2nd, which is 40 days after Christmas. There were a lot of traditions about what happened on Candlemas and how it would foretell what happened later in the year. And then people also always look to animals because they feel that they're more in touch with nature.
Over the years, as more people started following the traditions, the festivities also grew. The celebration became more well-known after the release of the 1993 film Groundhog Day.
This is pitiful. 1,000 people freezing their butts off waiting to worship a rat. What a hype. Groundhog Day used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out and they used to eat it.
References to Groundhog Day continue to impact pop culture, with the idea of the Groundhog Day loop being the most popular. A plot where the character is caught in a time loop repeating the same day over and over until something is corrected.
Look, I know this isn't going to make any sense, but I have already lived through this day. Twice.
Well, it's interesting because now it's become associated with things happening over and over again because of the movie with Bill Murray, whereas that's not a tradition at all. You know, that's just the movie's invention. And so people say it feels just like Groundhog Day. And what they mean is that something's happening over and over rather than, oh, I'm looking at an animal coming out of a hole, you know. So it's become a shorthand for a different sort of tradition entirely.
According to reports, Wyerton Willie is only 32% accurate, and Punxsutawney Phil is right 40% of the time. But Shubenacadie Sam has a 45% accuracy rate. But winter officially ends March 20th.